Hello, Professor N. This is our spring 2026 Milestone 1 presentation deliverable. Huntington Ambulatory Care Clinic, or HACC. I'm Josue Morales.
I'm Chris Aruda.
And Lala.
Hello, I'm Vyom.
All right, so let's kick things off with the introduction and the background. Okay, so the organization overview. HACC is an outpatient clinic. It provides checkups, physicals, sick visits, chronic disease management care, and also preventative care. And what's important to note is that all of these services happen through scheduled outpatient visits. HACC's vision is to deliver excellent healthcare through expert physicians, caring nurses, helpful staff, and advanced medical technology. All right, so for our SWOT analysis, on the strengths category for the operations side, we have helpful, capable front desk staff. For the information side of things, we have a basic appointment tracking system that already exists. The staff records appointments in a calendar system. While it is limited, it does give this project a starting point instead of starting from absolutely nothing, ground zero. On the weaknesses category, for the operations side, we do have frequent no-shows, bad. This wastes appointment slots and it makes daily scheduling not ideal. We also have slow check-in processes. This is because patients have to fill out paper forms when they arrive. On the information system side of things, there's repeated data entry, which increases the chance of errors in patient info, whether it's the staff misreads patient information that's written down, or maybe they just mistype it. Also, for the next one, we have split info systems during check-in. Appointment details and patient information, that separation, it makes the admin workflow really clunky, which isn't good for operations at HAC. Let's move down to the opportunity section. For the operations side of things, we know that convenience is becoming a patient expectation. Patients are increasingly expecting reminders, less paperwork, etc. The next one is that pre-digital or pre-visit digital intake. It's becoming more common. This is great news because HACC can benefit from that same outside trend by switching over to digital forms. On the info system side of things, practical administration tools are easier to adopt now, which is great news since that gives HACC a realistic path to move forward with improving admin workflow. Next one, shared front desk views they're becoming more standard for clinics, and we can use that as an opportunity and as a tool. The last and final category is the threats on the operation side of things. We know that competing clinics, they can respond to these exact same trends. There's nothing stopping them. So we have to adapt. We need to make sure that we hop on those opportunities. And the next threat is that increased patient volume can expose workflow problems. Higher patient volume equals greater strain on admin processes, and if HACC does not adapt, current workflow problems will likely become more noticeable to our patients. On the info system side of things, limited/dated admin tools can become a competitive disadvantage. Our current calendar-based system, they start to look outdated. It's not good. Lastly, requirements from HIPAA, they definitely raise the stakes pretty high for privacy and security because we are dealing with sensitive patient information. All right.
All right, now moving into the project description section of our presentation, our focus is on how we can modernize HACC's daily operations to bridge the gap between our high quality medical care and our current administrative systems. Next slide, please. Now let's take a look at our specific challenges. Our first major hurdle, as you see here, is appointment scheduling. Currently, it is very manual process, mostly phone calls and entries into a basic and isolated calendars. Because this system doesn't send out consistent and automated reminders, the clinic faces high volume of no-shows. This isn't just an administrative headache, but it's a wastage of appointment slot that could have gone to a patient in a need. and it directly leads to loss of revenue for the clinic. Moving further into the office, we have the patient intake process. We all have been that patient sitting in a waiting room with a clipboard. But at HACC, the real issue happens after the patient hands the paper back, and our front desk staff has to manually retype all that handwritten information into the computer. This double work slows down the waiting line and significantly increases the chance of clerical errors in patient's medical record. Next slide, please. All of this stems from what we call the one system gap. During check-ins, the appointment details and the patient's insurance info live in two different worlds. Our staff is forced to juggle multiple screens just to get one person in the door, which creates a lot of needless stress during busy hours. If we do nothing, these backups and no shows will only get worse as the clinic grows. But by addressing these challenges now, we can reclaim that lost time and reduce errors. And moreover, we also ensure a much smoother, more respectful experience for our patients. Now, I'll hand it over to Joshua, who will walk you through the specific solutions we designed to close this gap.
I'll be talking about the characteristics of the suggested solution, what the solution includes, reminders and confirmations as essential processes to reduce no-shows. Automated reminders allow patients to confirm or cancel appointments, which would help us reduce missed visits and encourage patients to communicate if rescheduling is needed. Digital intake forms before time to visit, reduce waiting times and redundancy in data entry. One place for both appointments and admin information during check-in to make it easier for the admins. A simple read dashboard for management to see no-show rates, appointment volume for the day, and basic KPIs. Why this option is the best fit? It directly fixes two processes that requires optimization without expanding the project. Addresses high no-show rates through reminders and confirmations. It reduces confusion at check-in by putting key appointment information in one place, and basic dashboarding allows for management visibility without expanding this into an analytics project. It'll help them overview the whole operation. This solution does not include billing claims, insurance verification, clinical documentation, and decision making. It also doesn't include any EHR replacement or any complex integrations or enterprise architecture. Other alternatives that would also help would be to keep the current process but strengthen manual follow-ups. The downsides to this are going to be basically it'll have the same downfall as when they are overbooked or anything. Um, Processes won't be as quick, and manually using data entry can take longer for admins. Can also use an off-shelf scheduling or digital intake look. It'll be ready-made and requires minimal setup. However, it can affect clinical workflows. The main stakeholders that are affected primarily are the patients. Reminders and confirmations allow them to not miss their appointments, and also digital intake will benefit them as there will be less paperwork at check-in and they'll be ready to go quicker. The front desk staff or admins will have fewer steps, less re-entry, and clearer check-in workflows to follow. And management will be able to oversee all operations and have a dashboard to identify stats and patterns. Then I'll pass it on to Derek. Let me skip that.
Derek, yeah, this was Derek's section. We're going to insert that. All right. Moving on to Chris, right?
Yep. So I'm going to be going over the project communication plan. Let's see, next slide we go. So the characteristics of the suggested solution, the stakeholder involvement would include the front desk staff and the clinical manager early and consistently via weekly check-ins and emailing for on-site support. The progress communications will have weekly status updates, like we said, reviewing results from the last week, learning, going over the learning moments and how to move forward to not make the same mistakes. We'll keep a small decision log of what we decided and why we decided that. And we'll also create a simple issue list to assign owners to issues and give them next steps for how to solve them. And we'll need to interview with the front desk staff and clinical managers before we go through any of this. We'll also need observations to actually ensure what actually happens during check-in is what we want to happen, as well as document review for current intake forms and any scheduling instructions. And lastly, a short optional questionnaire for patients in regards to their thoughts on the new reminders or intake system. And then next, we'll walk through the high-level project tasks and phases. So this here's our work breakdown structure. We broke the project down into 5 phases mainly: system planning, system analysis, system design, system implementation, systems operations, and support. The full project is estimated to take about 4 months. And now I'll pass it back to Anne Marie to go over concepts and tools.
All right, guys. Yeah, so for concepts and tools, let's move on to the next slide here, chapter 2. From chapter 2, we use 2.1 to understand HACC's mission, and their environment, and also their strategic position in the healthcare market. For 2.4, we use that to identify business problems and opportunities that would justify a new system for HACC. This is a big task. And then the next one for section 2.7, we use that section to evaluate whether the proposed system is a realistic option and is actually worth pursuing. See, for chapter 3 here, 3.1 helps us to define responsibilities and coordinating team members. 3.3, they help us to organize teamwork and assigning roles within the project. Section 3.2 helped us in breaking the project into tasks and phases of planning. And lastly, we used 3.4 to inform our communications plan, which Chris was just talking about. Now moving on.
These are our references, and these are our
And
contributions.
lastly,
Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, so thank you so much, Professor. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Professor.
Stop this recording.